Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 67. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty Matt. Sean is Sean Beatty. Kev's at Kev's Blade. The first symbol is being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of all the topics that we talk about. Let's start with the Seattle Mariners, and it is some bittersweet news, I would say. Third baseman Kyle Seager has retired after 11 seasons, all with the Seattle Mariners. It was really announced through his wife Julie on Twitter, and Seager is 34 years old. He had a career high 35 home runs and 101 RBIs this last season, and Kyle has been a Mariner his whole time. So, guys, what do you think of the legacy of Kyle Seager? Kyle has not had a successful run in terms of team performance, but I think individually Kyle Seager has been just a steady presence for this team, and he's he could, I mean, he's a Mariners entire career, so that holds a lot of value. So I think he'll have his number up there in T-Mobile Park one day, just because of what he's done for this team, and not only for the team but for the community as well, because he's been a big part of the Seattle community. And I think my favorite Kyle Seager memory is now it's a GIF where he's like at bat and he goes "F you" to the pitcher up there, but that
will live forever.
That will live in infamy. But kudos to Kyle Seager. I thought he might sign somewhere else, but decided to hang it up, and can't fault him. I'm sure he wants to hang out with his kids more and do some other things. So maybe broadcasting in the future, Kyle. I don't know. Maybe like a dugout reporter if you want to do it from time to time. Who knows? I'm sure a broadcast crew would be happy to have on Root Sports. So, Sean, what do you think of Kyle Seager?
I mean, best third baseman in Mariner history. Adrian, do you count Adrian Beltre? I mean, he's only here for 5 years. Do you count that? Is that like considered an all-time Mariner?
I mean,
you count Boone?
What?
Didn't Boone play third?
No, Boone played second.
Oh no, he was second. No shit.
His brother Aaron played third for.
That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking Aaron Boone. Shit.
No, yeah, it's got to be. I guess I'll go. Yeah, I think Kyle Seager is the best Mariners third baseman of all time. I mean, he picked up a hell of a year to do it too. Hit a career high in home runs too, and everything like that, and then bowed out. I believe I saw something like he's 5th all time on career WAR for Mariners. Like, yeah, he was legit. It was a shame that he never got to play in one playoff game. It was a damn shame. I was now, I will say, like, as much as I hate the team and everything like that, I would have rooted for them for one reason. If he had gone to the Astros, because Bregman's kind of aging out, and he plays a little bit of shortstop, Bregman does, and Kyle can play third for Houston, I've been like, okay, Houston, just get Kyle to the playoffs. That's all I want. Like, I would have, as much as I hate Houston, I would have like rooted for them just to make the playoffs, just to see Kyle Seager get a chance to have one at bat in the freaking playoffs. Like, but I thought he would do something like that. Like, because there's teams that could use a third baseman or like a DH or, lefty, but I don't know. He just didn't want to do it anymore. So I don't blame him, man. Like, Buster Posey retired at 34 too this year. So 2 guys retiring at 34. So
I feel like he knew that was going to be. He knew he was going to do that before, like in the final games. I feel like he knew that's what he was going to do. Like, that's why he got the send off and everything.
He was going down in his career too. So I respect, like, when people say, like, he's not going to accrue, like, because that's the problem with the Hall of Fame voting. Kyle's not going to be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, people are like, well, he's got to get all these home runs. And like, there's people who are like a shell of themselves, like just scratching like 20 home runs a year, 18 a year. And they're nothing what they used to be. And Kyle's going out kind of having a pretty good year, not like just a shell of himself anymore. So I'm if he wants to do that, I'm totally, more people should do that. Me and Kevin have talked about with the UFC, the fighting analogy. Anderson Silva should have done that on top. He's a shell of himself now, and then got caught for start. Like, go out when you still have some game left, and don't just kind of embarrass yourself. And Kyle's doing that, and I'm totally fine with that. I think more people should do that.
Kevin?
Yeah, it's interesting nowadays, especially since you see a lot more players trying to push like 35 and beyond, and then him coming off the year. Now, advanced stats wise, weren't near what he was for, like, I guess you could say fantasy stat wise. Like, his fantasy stats look better than his advanced stats this past year. which a lot of dumb managers actually look at the fantasy stats more, and I think he would have probably gotten a decent
Wasn't he like a 3? He was 2.5 WAR player. I mean, he wasn't what he used to be, but like that's a good baseball player still.
Yeah.
Like
no, I think he would have got a good contract somewhere, like a good 3-year contract.
Teams would definitely have paid him. Like he was an average hitter, plays solid defense. Again, 2.5 WAR player. Like totally fine.
I think he's just one of those players that wanted, like, kind of what even, and we'll kind of get to this part later on, like what Russell said he wanted to do. He wants to stay in one place full career and be known there. I think he'll be in the Mariners Hall of Fame.
Yes.
He won't be in that baseball Hall of Fame. No way. But overall, good guy, good player, good family. They've done a lot for this community. I know as long as Jerry Depoto's there, he's probably not going to do anything organization wise. But as Matt said, I would love to see him on Root Sports. Heck, after post game analysis.
That's gonna be real. That's gonna still be too close for Jerry, I think, for him. Like that might still. Can he like? Because he lives in Virginia. Can he like stream in and just do it from that way? Like,
I mean, a lot of broadcasters are doing that nowadays, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
So it doesn't have to get near Jerry.
Down the road, if Blowers gets tired of doing broadcasting, I wouldn't mind seeing Seeger take his place, and have Blowers and Goldschmidt, doing radio and TV broadcasts. I'd be cool with that. Just because I think he's got good baseball knowledge, and even though I like Blowers, but I know Blowers probably doesn't want to do it forever, type of deal. So maybe down the road we'll see him again in some form of fashion for the Mariners. But overall, Sean kind of nailed it. Just probably the best third baseman for Mariners. Kind of stings too, knowing that where the team's going. Even though the plans were to be without him because you have so much young development and you want to go get bigger key pieces, that this team will probably make the playoffs in the next 2 years. It hurts. Whether his number will be retired, I don't know, especially since Ichiro's number is not up there yet, nor is Felix's. Maybe.
Well, Ichiro's is getting retired this year, is it not?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't hear.
They usually wait a couple
in August,
years,
right?
Kind of close to like the Hall of Fame, like the real Hall of Fame. They wait a couple of years. I think there's no like certain timeline, but they usually kind of do.
Because I would say Ichiro's was probably going to go first, and then Felix, and then maybe Kyle Seager. So I'd like to see like a Kyle Seager day. That'd be cool. Whether he'll attend, but I mean, you could still do like Kyle Seager bobblehead nights and stuff like that, just like they do Beaner bobblehead nights, Felix bobblehead nights, Griffey bobblehead nights. Still, like, you could still do a Seager bobblehead night and stuff like that. So, but overall, I'm happy to see him retire. Well earned time with his family now while he's still young, and nothing much more to say.
I could see him. I think he wants to spend more time with his family. I could see him being out of baseball for like a good 5 years at least, and then coming back and doing some sort of coaching. I think that makes a lot of sense for him. I could see him being like an infield coach. I think he probably would want to be involved with the Mariners still, but who knows what that timing will be like. But I could certainly see him coming back to the Mariners in some fashion down the road. So Kyle, enjoy your retirement, and hopefully get a lot of that good family time. Let us know what you thought of Kyle Seager's Seattle Mariners career. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at _Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kev's Believe the first thing he believes being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know what you think of Kyle Seager. Let's move on to the Seattle Kraken. They are officially back in action. But before we get to that, I was wondering if you guys had heard this story about Vancouver Canucks assistant equipment manager Brian Hamilton. If you are unfamiliar with the story, Seattle fan Nadia Popovici, God, I hope I said that right, is a UW medical student, and at the opening game, she spotted a mole on the back of his neck, and she kept trying to get his attention, and she had on her phone written, that mole looks like melanoma, it's cancer, you need to get that checked out. And turns out she was right, and Brian was able to go to the team doctors, get it removed. And 2 days ago, Vancouver was back in town, and they were actually able to meet, and he was able to thank her for what she did, and she actually got a $10,000 contribution to her college fund. So a good story there from the Seattle Kraken, because we're going to get into their recent schedule. not so great. So let's get to the bad news portion of the Seattle Kraken. So first, before they started games, it was revealed that Brandon Tanev is out for the rest of the year with a knee injury. He had knee surgery yesterday, but he is out until next season. But let's go through the rest of the games that they've had since we were gone. So they played Philadelphia, lost 3-2 at home in overtime. They faced Calgary on Thursday, December 30th, lost 6-4. And then they hosted Vancouver on New Year's Day, lost 5-2. They have their games against the New York Islanders, which was supposed to be tomorrow, postponed. Ottawa, January 6th, postponed. And Saturday, January 8th at Winnipeg is postponed. So their next game as of right now is Monday, January 10th in Colorado. Boy, there's not much to say about the Kraken. It's been rough since they've actually been able to play games. When they are able to play games, I think we've kind of, beat a dead horse with this. It's just a tough year for the Kraken at this point. We just need to be thankful that we have a team and take the growing pains as they come right now, because they're just not quite clicking on all cylinders. I've watched a couple of the games. I watched the Vancouver game and the Philadelphia game. And it's just like they have the ability to win. They just seem to make a bad mistake. Like there was a mistake against Vancouver where Giordano and Oleksiak like crashed into each other behind the net, and then it was a turnover and like past the slot for a goal. It's just small little mistakes that this team makes that just kind of bites them every single time. Philadelphia game, they were very competitive. And then in overtime, Ivan Provorov, Brandon Wheat Kings alum, shout out WHL, but he just had a nice move in overtime for the winner. So it's tough for the Kraken right now. But overall, you just got to be happy there's a team and know that down the road, hopefully they'll kind of build, and then they'll be a contender one of these days. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. I don't know if they just kind of lost their stride with the whole COVID break, even though they weren't really doing a whole lot, beforehand. A couple of the games were kind of close by one score. Got to watch a little bit of the Philadelphia game. Just kind of the same old stuff. And as you were mentioning, just sloppy play from what I can see. But like I said, I'm not an expert. You boys are. Sadly, hopefully they kind of use this little break to, I don't know if they're allowed to enter team facility to practice or not, but if they are, then they need to work on some crap, use this time to get some, more team chemistry or whatever the heck they need to do together to kind of try to build up a stretch of some wins here, because it's not looking pretty. But I mean, I'm not also just, as before you mentioned, I'm not really disappointed either, because it's first season of an expansion team, and we kind of knew this team wasn't going to do a whole heck of a lot, even though they are in a crappy division. So hopefully they can turn it around, have a nice New Year's resolution, and pull their head out of their ass.
Sean, the Vancouver Canucks, since they hired Bruce Boudreau, have now pulled into a tie with your San Jose Sharks. But let's talk about the Kraken. What have you thought?
My Sharks almost came back from 5 goals the other day, but that they did not. They give up 8, so that was fun. It's kind of the same. The Sharks' problem is the same as the Kraken's problem. They let in too many goals. Like, this team was supposed to be built. They said it, defense and goaltending, and I'm looking it up right now. Like, they're right in the middle of the pack and scoring, which is like way better than I would have thought. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Way better than what I thought. It's just that the defense is not getting it done. So I guess that's a positive, because at least it's not both things are broken. You know the problem now. Now, defensive pairings is big. I've seen it with the Sharks. I'll give you a little example here. So the Sharks have 2 guys who have won, I guess it's a couple of years now, but there was a stretch where they had 2 Norris trophy champs, the award for best defensive player in the league. They had Carlson who won it twice, Burns who won it once in a 5-year span. So they had the best in 5 years. And then they both came to the same team, and they gave up a ton of goals, because it's not simply about talent. It's about how you use that talent in conjunction with your goaltender, because those guys tend to be really aggressive. So they left their goaltender out to dry a lot. And it's really a combination of the defensive pairings and how they work with the goalie. And if they're like, in sync and all that stuff and rotating. And it just seems like because Grubauer's been solid, but goaltending is kind of like the analogy is like an MLB bullpen. Be really up and down. Sharks example again. Martin Jones, beast goaltender for a couple years. I signed a deal, takes the Sharks to Stanley Cup. They lose to the Penguins. Everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be great. And then next year he just cannot play hockey anymore. And 2 years later, he's a backup in Philadelphia. Like he just forgot how to play goalie. He was like the star 25-year-old goalie they got from the Kings. Signed a deal. Next year goes to the Stanley Cup and then can't do anything. And I'm not saying Grubauer is that, but like that. Relying on a goaltender, there's very few that you can rely on. It's like a bullpen. Like there's a Aroldis Chapman, you know is going to be a Aroldis Chapman, but like there's a Henrik Lundqvist a couple years ago who you knew was going to be Henrik Lundqvist. He's the king for a reason. But other than that, these guys who might be good for a little bit could switch kind of like a drop of a hat. So I think Grubauer needs to play a little better, and the defense and the expected goals have shown too that they've been a little unlucky this year with goals allowed. But they're also, I think, with the expected goals allowed, it's that defense. That defensive pairing is not clearing pucks in front of the net. They're not getting the bounces, but that comes down to the defensemen in front of them. Grubauer will figure out and will play better, I believe. But those guys in front need to play better. The blue liners need to play better.
And looking at their schedule coming up, it doesn't get super easy. They got Colorado, Dallas, St. Louis on the road, those three, and then they come home for a 6-game stretch. The Kings, Chicago, San Jose, St. Louis, Florida, and Nashville. So should be an interesting stretch for the Kraken here towards the end of January. I have tickets to the January 17th 2 p.m. Monday game, so still kind of uncertain if that will actually happen or not. But fingers crossed that will actually happen. Sean, do you have tickets to that San Jose game, or is that the finale?
I do.
Are you going?
I have both tickets. Who knows if it's gonna happen? Like I'm planning, but like we might not go just because it's crazy. So I don't know. Fair. Right now we're planning on going, but I just don't, what's it gonna look like in 2 weeks? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows. But yeah, so if you are at the Chicago or San Jose game, give us a shout out because we'll be at those games as well. And I was 0 for 3 in 2021, so it is a new calendar year, and I'm looking forward to 2 Kraken wins to round out this 21-22 season for myself. Chicago on Monday, January 17th, and then towards the end of the season, I got New Jersey, so that should be hopefully a win as well. But New Jersey's not as bad as they thought they were going to be. So still towards the bottom of the Metropolitan, but not as bad as everyone thought.
They got some fun young kids.
Yeah, they do. And PK Subban, he's a great defenseman. I would like to see him play, so that should be fun.
You mean play in Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Well, I mean, he plays for New Jersey at the moment.
But play for Seattle.
I mean, that would be great, but I mean, those are dreams, Sean. Those are dreams. All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Seattle Kraken. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean Betty. Kevin's at Kids with the first name believes being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Follow our page on the Eli Network. But let's talk about some Seattle Seahawks football. And it's great. These games, they don't mean anything. So let's just run down the last 2 games while we were away. So they took on the Chicago Bears in a snowstorm. I was driving home through Snoqualmie Pass and snowy I-5. It was the worst thing ever. But the Seahawks were able to find a way to lose 25-24 to the Bears. I'm just going to go Seahawks stats. Russ, 16-27, 181, 2 touchdowns. Rashad Petty, 17 for 135 and 1. Receiving, Gerald Everett, 4 for 68 and 1. DK, 2 for 41 and 1. Tyler, 3 for 30. Bobby, 12 tackles. Lions game, they were able to win on Sunday 51-29 in the home finale. Russ was 20 of 29, 236, 4 touchdowns. Rashad Petty, 25 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiving, Freddie Swain, 2 for 65. DK, 6 for 63 and 3. Tyler, 3 for 24 and 1. And Gerald Everett, 3 for 36. On the defensive side, Bobby left in the first quarter with an injury, I believe. First play. So Jordan Brooks led the way with 10 tackles.
I watched the condensed version. So.
Oh yeah, I believe he left after the first play.
Oh yeah, first play. So let's kind of recap these two games really quick. Sean, what'd you think?
Well, they're very different games. It's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to like in one. I'll start with the Bears, I guess. It was pathetic. They just didn't look good. Russell didn't look good. His like passer ratings like 104, which layman's terms, but he just was not efficient. Poor QBR, poor EPA. He had a much lower EPA than Nick Foles, who like torched this defense. Like in snow, Nick Foles, like it's just there are people who will tell you the defense is playing well. The defense isn't really playing well. I saw a new stat from PFF Mo, who's like a great follow. If you guys haven't, he said that they're the fourth worst defense in the league by adjusted stats. With that includes efficiency and all that stuff. I just, man, it's just the Nick Foles in the snow, and of course it comes down to Jimmy Graham catching an ISO fade in the end zone, which is how they should have been using Jimmy. He was here. Like it's the whole thing was frustrating. Rashad Penny looked good. So I'll break down Rashad Penny, I guess, a little bit. So people are on the Rashad Penny bandwagon and like, should we sign him? The answer is no. I mean, if he wants like $1 million deal, go for it. But like the issue with it is a lot of it is what they've been showing is like the O-line has been great in front of Rashad Penny. And the O-line's playing well because they're playing the Bears and Detroit. And it's not a knock on like, I guess I was taking a little bit away, but it is an undeniable fact. The Bears and the Lions are not good at football. And you should run against them. You should be able to move the ball against them. And they did, at least Rashad Penny did. So there was a positive sign there. But I just like building up. There's one play where he had like a 28-yard run. And he didn't get touched to like 11 yards downfield. Like it's, again, that's the whole like, what is the value versus another running back on that individual play? It's not a lot. He's not giving a lot more than anybody could have done on that play. This old Zeke thing. The Bears game was just, I want to get over that game. That game sucked poo-poo. The Lions game, I think I said it in one tweet and it was really frustrating. I said, I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know how to feel about the Lions game. Does it make me feel good that they won or bad that they had this capability all year and just didn't do it? Like the good teams beat bad teams by a lot. And it shows the Seahawks can beat the bad teams. They can. They beat up on the Jags and they beat up on the Lions, which you should. You should dominate these teams. But you lost to Jameis Winston at home. You lost to Washington. You lost to the Bears. Like you lost to the Titans when you had a monster lead. You got killed by Minnesota. Like you're showing flat. That's the part I'm frustrated the most, and I think that's where it comes mostly to coaching. You have enough talent, maybe not to like how it's properly used. It's like you shook it up a little bit. You could probably get more out of it. There's enough pieces there to do some things, but you're not getting enough out of those pieces. And it's just really frustrating with that. I was like, yes, the Seahawks put up 55 points. I'm like, but why couldn't you like had a little bit better showing against some of these better teams? I'm not asking you to beat the better teams necessarily, but you couldn't kick a field goal against Green Bay. Could kick one. Like you can get a point. Like that's what they're so inconsistent, and that's why they're not good. And the consistency tends to lead to not really players, but coaching and preparing. And yeah, Russell's injury probably had something to do with that Green Bay game, but still like. They're just inconsistent, and it's just incredibly frustrating. It's been years of this too. But I guess Detroit, it was good that they dominated Detroit. That's all I'll say.
Kevin, what'd you think?
Well, I think we need to talk about the most important thing that happened in these two games. And that is my boy Kobe Parkinson getting a catch for 12 yards, baby. Woo! Let's go. God, I was so excited when I saw him catch that ball. I was like,
yeah. I forgot about him again, Kevin. What the hell?
I know. You got at least he caught a reception.
Well, to be fair, like we think that they killed him. They go for Russell barely threw the ball. So I mean, I guess he only completed 20 passes. So it's not like there was like he's completing a bajillion passes.
And plus,
so.
him and Gerald Everett have just been fucking in sync. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, but I mean, not that Gerald Everett's a good tight end. Don't get me wrong. Like, so I don't mind Gerald Everett being out there, but would I like to?
It was basically DK, Gerald, and Tyler, and no one else had more than like 2 targets. So like it wasn't like a Colby thing. It was
Pretty much.
They fed the 3 guys, and that was
Be the hot hand.
Yep. Okay, let's see where to start. Bears. Yeah, that was kind of. It was just, I mean, it kind of was what you thought it was. It was going to be a run game. That's pretty much what happens in the snow. I mean, the touchdown to DK was kind of crazy. Like, what was it, 40 yards? I don't think they were expecting it, and just Russell threw a good ball. So, but other than that, he was kind of poo-poo on the day, which, I mean, it's the snow. Everybody was like kind of, I mean, yeah, well, is his finger still hurt? Yes. He even showed in his Christmas pic, like people were saying that he was wearing a thong on his hand because he had like this little weird like glove thing on his finger in the Christmas pics with his family. But because Sean kind of already nailed it on the head. Somebody posted on Facebook, and I'm looking at right now, since Adrian Peterson joined the team, Rashad Penny in the last has 79 attempts, 516 yards, and 5 touchdowns. The majority of those yards come against Houston, Chicago, and Detroit, who are all hot garbage defenses. Like it's nothing. It's like there are some runs that looked great, and I'm a Penny guy. Like as Sean could attest to, I literally had it tweeted on my freaking Twitter saying, and I want him in the first round. Hell no. I wanted him in like the second or third. Just because I saw his power running. I saw like his college highlights, the fact that he literally drug a linebacker 12 yards, like curtain tail, like holding on to his jersey for 12 yards because he has the power to do it. And he's lost weight and put on a little bit of muscle since then because he was like 235 in college. Now he's like 220. But and also his return game that we've never used. He led all of NCAA with return touchdowns, and we're like, no, we're gonna put Swain out there. We're gonna put some other random ass hats that have no like barely any experience. Like, I don't get it. They get these guys that have great special team abilities and returns. Like even like DJ Dallas, last year should have taken more, and he should have taken more this year. But we're giving it to Swain. I don't know. Anywho. I want to see it more on a consistent basis. Next week's going to be a nice test to see what happens against the Cardinals. If Rashad Penny can repeat that. Because he didn't do it against the Rams, even though the Rams defense ain't that great either. But that front 7 is pretty decent. Jimmy doing Jimmy things. It's just this defense is so inconsistent. I will say I like what I see out of Brooks. Brooks has just been phenomenal, and Bobby too. And then you get random dipshits on Twitter saying that Barton outplays fucking Bobby or some dumb shit. People are dumb. Yeah, it's a lot of just missed coverages, a lot of times just bad scheming, and tackle discipline at times as well. I've seen some bad tackling, even though that's like Pete's bread and butter is like tackle and stuff like that. So dumb penalties at times. Overall, I've liked what I've seen in the growth of some of the people. Alton Robinson's kind of took a step forward. He still has a long way to go, but I like where Alton Robinson's going. I think he could improve on it next year by a lot. I'm glad they're kind of giving him the reps to do it. It would be nice if Dunlap had started this week 1. Like Dunlap's like, oh, we're out and out of the playoffs. I guess I'll play now. Like type deal. Like I don't know what the hell that's all about. Getting beat by bad quarterbacks. Since Seattle lost to the Washington football team, they've lost 4 straight, and Tyler Heineke has looked awful. But we made Tyler Heineke look great. Just saying, folks. Go look at the last 4 week stats of Tyler Heineke. That beat your great Seattle Seahawks defense. So, yeah. Lions game, kind of what you expected. I I didn't expect it because he said Pete's like, I'm going to change it up. But, we sucked. We shouldn't have lost to the Bears. And it's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have been losing to bad teams all year. And then they just feed Penny more. Like Pete just doesn't learn at all. Like he was just very lucky. Russell was actually efficient with the throws he was doing. Like I think Russell's pretty close. I would say it feels like Russell's like 95% back to what he was. And I guarantee you Pete feels super good after that Detroit game, and he shouldn't, because that's not going to happen. You're not going to play Detroit every time. He's going to probably try it against the Cardinals, and it's probably not going to work. And then Pete's just going to be confused as hell. Overall, over the past 2 weeks, what I want to see is more Eskridge. Like they're just, I don't know what the hell they're like. You have a second round pick and you're barely using them. The sweep was cool, but like I want to see more downfield. Like stop babying your draft picks. Like you are now not playing for anything now. Like he should be in. Swain should not. Like I want to see him go make routes downfield and catch a ball. That's what I want to do. Otherwise, we need to learn about like moving on from him or just bumping up Ursua next year when he comes back, because we want the Ursua train to come in. What else? I'm kind of happy that Cam Chancellor wants to have a talk with Jody Allen after the Bears loss. That was very nice to see. Hopefully he can wake that bitch up. Hopefully it's the, hey, Pete sucks. Can we do something about that type of deal? We'll see. Hopefully if something develops on that story, we'll kind of get into that later on. But all in all, don't resign Penny unless it's super cheap, because it's just not. He did it against really bad teams, and we shouldn't reward that. I want to see that on a consistent basis. Will we resign Penny? Probably. If Pete stays, we probably will, because he's an idiot. What else? Good for Russell for having all his seasons with 20 plus touchdowns is what the record he broke or something, or tied with Manning. I like the Gerald Everett connection. That's nice. Stop the whole feed the beast thing. That was annoying as hell. I prefer Aaron Goldschmidt over whoever the hell that was. Sorry, that was a quick side tangent, but why do we have to feed DK? Like, why is it that we should feed whoever the hell's open? Like, if DK is in double or triple coverage, boys and girls, we shouldn't be throwing the ball to him because he doesn't know how to use his body still. There was a play and people are like, oh my God, DK Metcalf, where he's going to the sideline and it's a 50-50 ball. And like the corner just doesn't turn around and just falls into, if the corner actually turns the hell around, that's an interception. Like, period. It just barely fits through the window over his head. Like, if the corner turns around, it's a pick ball. Like, so don't feed DK until he learns how to use his body properly. And you should be feeding that Tyler guy because he's really freaking good. Or just feed whoever's open, period. Like, stop with this, oh, we got to get DK his touches. Like, he's angry. I don't give a fuck if he's angry. He can shut the fuck up and sit on the bench. Like, we have plenty of talent to use. Like, Gerald Everett's coming into his own, is actually catching balls and actually using his tight end body to get balls. So, yeah, other than that, yay.
All right. Bears game. I did not get to see much of it. I saw Rashad Penny's first touchdown when Lauren and I were in North Bend in the Burger King line. And I'm pretty sure the Burger King people bailed because we got up to the drive-thru and no one said anything. Now, this was when it was dumping snow the day after Christmas. So I don't blame you, Burger King workers, at all. And it allowed me to watch some of the game. So thank you for that. But I was basically listening to the entire game, like gripping my steering wheel like this, driving like 35 through Snoqualmie Pass and on I-5. So not an ideal way to ingest that game. So Steve Rabel, his disappointment when Jimmy Graham caught the touchdown, and then his absolute rock bottom disappointment when Damiere Byrd, which, by the way, I was able to see that highlight afterwards. What a catch by Damiere Byrd, first of all, for that 2-point conversion. Like, kudos to you, man. You wanted that ball and you got it. So, and in my head, I'm thinking Matt Nagy's going to go for 2 because why not? Like, what do you have to lose? Nothing. So, kudos to the Bears for pulling that out in a snowy game. Nick Foles, Super Bowl champ against another Super Bowl champ. What a matchup we got to see with the Chicago Bears. But Penny had a pretty good day from what I could hear on the radio, so that was cool. And then I could only hear the DK and Gerald catches for touchdowns, but I was able to go and look at those later, and that was, the DK touchdown was just pretty. That was pretty to see. If only we could have seen that all year. And then it's the Bears. It's whatever. They had control of that game and they lost. They were already out of it. Whatever. Lions. I watched the first half yesterday, and that's all I watched. Because they were up, I think 31-7 at halftime. And I was like, well, if they lose this one, then the sky's falling, crumbling, blow everything up. So I wanted to watch more of the games that mattered in the afternoon. So I switched it to Red Zone, and I was like, if they start losing, I'm going to see it on Red Zone anyway. So I did think it was weird how they had the score wrong on Fox for a little while there in the third quarter. That was really weird. It was 31-13, and somehow it was 13 and Detroit hadn't scored any points. But I did like the Daryl Taylor tackle there at the goal line. That was a sweet play there in the third quarter. Overall, the Seahawks did what they should do against Detroit and Tim Boyle. It's very frustrating to see Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I picked up in one of my leagues very early on in the season, do this now. I could have used you much earlier, Amon-Ra, so thank you for that. But my fantasy season was derailed by my Russell Wilson DK Metcalf stack that I drafted. That didn't work out so well, so maybe it will work out next year. We'll see. But overall, Rashad Penny is cool to see, but I said it, I think, of week 10 or early on in the season, like, we can move on from Rashad Penny. Like, it's great to see him do this. But I think it's just a little too late. If, like Sean said, if you want to sign a cheap deal, come back, cool. But otherwise, I think you're going to probably try and get paid off of these last few games, which you probably will. So capitalize on that contract value while you can, Rashad, because get yours, and then running backs are out of the league by 30. So
who's going to pay him?
Somebody will.
Some dumbass team probably will.
How much do you think he's getting?
We paid Matt Flynn $10 million after one game. So
yeah, we've shown that they're incompetent when it comes to roster construction. Who's paying Rashad Penny after 4 games?
Somebody will pay Rashad Penny. Someone's running Cordero Patterson out there. All right. Someone will pay Rashad Penny. All right.
Cordero Patterson ain't making money. Rashad Penny's he's not going to make any money.
Houston will pay him.
Thomas Rawls got paid by the Jets after he had a decent year with the Seahawks. Like, people will pay.
Yeah, he had a better run than Rashad Penny did. Like,
he'll get money somewhere. If
how much is money? He will technically.
How much is money? I mean, like, I could see him signing max like 10 mil for 3 years. That's what I would see.
I don't know if I go that high.
I mean, I'm not saying the Seahawks should go that high, but I'm saying someone will pay him
that. Like, he might get 3 million. Yeah, that's like nothing. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying 10 million a year.
Oh, there's
no. 10 million for 3 years.
God, no.
So he'll get like 3 million a year.
He can get like 3 million a year, and it's a mistake, but he can get 3 million a year.
So Rashad, it's great to see you do this. Just a little bit too late in that rookie deal, but it is cool to see you run this way because you're running well. But overall, the Detroit game is Detroit. So these games don't really matter. So I think hopefully the Seahawks are feeling a little bit loose and playing better, just because there's nothing really to play for, except for some guys are playing for a job right now and some guys are auditioning for elsewhere. So you do want to have that good showing towards the end of the season. But ultimately, these games don't matter, so it's a little bit easier to play freely when you're not playing for anything. So, Chicago, Detroit, win, lose, whatever. But let's talk about the next season. And Sean and I had a Twitter discussion, and I told him to come ready with a proposal to make the Seahawks a contender.
I have to be very, very honest. I totally forgot about that part, and so I'm winging this. So.
All right.
but I'll wing it.
Okay, go ahead. What do the Seahawks need to do in the offseason, in your view, to be a contender next season?
Um,
Hold on,
I'm
let me get
I'm
let me get my notepad ready. Okay, go ahead.
okay. I'm okay if they want to fire John Schneider. It's not necessarily needed, but I'm okay if they need to fire John Schneider and bring in some new blood there. But they need to move on from Pete Carroll. You need to get an offensive-minded head coach, somebody, Kellen Moore, I mean, I don't care. And it needs to run through Russell. So if Russell is old Russell, then you'll be fine. You need to spend the draft capital better than you have in the past. You have, how much they have? $58 million?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know the free agent market off the top of my head because again, I'm winging this, but let me Google it while I talk. I'll make it up as I go. You need some O-line. So you don't have a first round pick, but you have a 2nd through 7. Oh, there's people on Twitter who the Seahawks have a top 10 defense. Don't listen to those people. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What the hell?
There is no metric. You know who it is, Kevin. There's no metric that says they're top 10. Might be points, but whatever. Points lie to you all the time. People don't play fantasy clearly. It does not work that way. Yeah, they do not have a top 10 defense. Yeah, you know who it is, Kevin. But like it's
idiot. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm trying to load up the free agent thing and it's not. Come on.
Oh, for O-line? Well, Dwayne Brown is a free agent after this year.
I'm okay with signing Dwayne Brown for a couple of years. He hasn't been same like huge like monster.
He's still a solid left tackle though.
Yeah. Like you just need little upgrades. You don't have to like break the bank, but you have enough money where you can spend. You have to patch up that O-line. The O-line's not great, especially on the right side. You need a center. You could probably draft one in the 2nd round. The big thing though is you need to fill out that defensive line. The defensive line gets no pressures. They're terrible. You have Green. People are talking about because he has 5 sacks. He's horribly inefficient. Him and Taylor don't get to the passer enough, but Taylor's young enough that I'm okay with rolling Taylor out there because he just needs to get more playing time. Woods and Ford have been fantastic. I think Wagner's fine. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, you could cut Bobby Wagner. He's been good enough. Brooks has shown flashes. He still has a lot of improving to do, but he's shown flashes. Don't need to see Swaim. You need to play de-escorage. You need to simply, Matthew, when you draft the guys, play the guys. Young talent needs to play. And when you try like Ursua, those guys, when you spend enough capital, be smart with how you invest this capital. So when you sign guys, when you draft guys, you have to play them. Like, just please play them. That's it. You gotta have to sign some I can't look it up right now. It's not loading right now. I don't know if you can see him, Kevin, but
oh yeah, give me a second.
I need like guards. Like, is there any good guards available? I don't want Richie Incognito.
Hold on.
Ryan Jansen, Buccaneers, go get him. Pay him. You have the 4th most money. Show up your O-line and show up your D-line. And you have enough talent on the outside. And you're going to roll with the safeties you have. So, like, regardless if I want it or not.
Isn't Diggs a free agent after?
He is. I'm okay.
But you also have Blair. Is Blair even healthy?
No, Blair's out for the season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he is out for the season.
With Blair or with Diggs, it comes down to this. So Ugo is technically a safety, and Ryan Neal is a safety. If Diggs wants a ton of money, he walks. I let him walk and play Neal. I know people are like, oh, he can't do that. I'm like, you can learn it. You could teach him because Jamal Adams roams. But you need to be smart with how you're spending money. Like, again, we're making a lot of guys like Jamal Adams, huge investments, all these things. Those guys need to play. It's a mistake, but it needs to play. You can let Carlos Dunlap walk because he's not effective. You need to find young, effective D-line and O-line. Like, that is where you need to hit with this draft. And you need to hit. If you have to trade up, if you have to trade future picks, whatever you got to do, you got to go now because Russell needs some help. And if you can get that help with play calling and O-line, you can compete because the easiest way to compete is having an elite quarterback.
It might be based off of next year. Honestly, you probably have to go right tackle 2nd round, then get it because the only decent right tackle available is Trenton Brown from New England. And then the next best available is Tremaine Ifedi. So yeah. Well, Mike Remmers ain't bad, but I'd rather have a nice solid versus
Riley Reef's available.
Is he right? Oh, I'm looking at right tackle. Just so like, let me go left tackle here. 1 second.
No, Riley Reese, a right tackle for the Bengals.
The hell? Well, then spot track is like off.
Maybe he qualifies for that position now. I don't know. But yeah, like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, there are a couple pieces on the O-line. So like the Mariners, spend the money. You've got to spend the money. So please, like,
Yeah, Eric Fisher is a free agent next year. Dwayne Brown, Taron Armstead,
like
Cam Robinson,
running
Nick
out
Solder,
Shell and those signings are they're not it.
Riley Reef.
Yeah,
They have him listed as left tackle for Riley Reef on this.
Over the cap has him listed as right tackle. I don't know why. So, but
Well, next week, once the season is over, we'll talk more about off-season stuff. Sean with the wing proposal didn't sell me, but all right, that's fair.
what do you need? What, like, Russell Wilson? You have Russell Wilson, you can compete. End of story. That's it. What else do you need?
Well, there is a customer in my store that says we need to get rid of Russell Wilson, and I really wanted to like walk up to the front because I was like going in there and be like, you're a fucking idiot.
like elite quarterbacks give you a chance to compete, and that's all I've been asking. Is not to like win the Super Bowl, not to like be in the Super Bowl, but you need to be like, there's teams that they're talking about analytics. That's all I've been doing because I've been driving so much because it's break your foot time of the year. And there's teams that people talk about that have a legit chance of winning. The AFC is a little more cloudy, but it's kind of like the Bills in Kansas City. That's kind of it at the moment. Everybody else is like nice for playing, but not really. But like the NFC is like the Packers, the Rams, the Bucks, Dallas, and Arizona. Those are like the teams. And I just want Seattle to be in that conversation. That's it. Like, because one of those teams is going to have to probably play another one of those teams, like the Rams might have to play like Arizona or something like that. So like, if you lose in the first round to another one of those good teams, that's fine. Like, it's not great, but like, Arizona is a capable team. If you're the Rams, if Rams and Arizona play and Arizona wins, I'm a Rams fan. It's not a great season, but it's like, look, like they're one of the other true contenders in the NFL. I didn't lose to like, Philadelphia or the Saints, something like that. Like, contenders should only lose to other contenders, but like the Seahawks are like losing to Jared Goff when he doesn't even have a thumb. Like, you're not a true contender. Just be in the conversation. I don't expect you to win it. I just expect you to like this last game. They have enough talent to like kind of be in that realm, but they didn't do it the last 2 years. They weren't even and they really haven't done it since 2016. They haven't been a real contender for a long time. And it's just, that's all we're kind of expecting. Because people are like, we won 12 games. I'm like, you won a K-Cup schedule, didn't get lucky this year, and you're closer to being this than you were really 12 wins last year. And it showed it. Like, that's all I want. Just can you be like the Cowboys? Just be the Cowboys. That's all I'm asking you. Like, that's what I'm saying, Matthew. The Cowboys are 4 days better. Like, just be the Cowboys. That's all I'm asking. Like,
they're the number one offense.
But no, I don't say like, offense wise. I'm just saying like, be around that conversation. 11-5, 10 and whatever. Like, be around there. Just be 10-6. Like the Bills, like they're good. 10-6. Just in the conversation is all I want.
Well, at the same time too, we had that record last year, and we were.
It's not the record because the Patriots.
Then why are you talking about the record?
Well,
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can be that, but like the New England Patriots don't have nearly the shot the Bills do, and they have the same record. Like that.
I don't know about that.
No. That conversation's over.
I don't know about
that. Just because you have the same record doesn't mean you're even close to the same. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers are better, like have a better record than Baltimore, but that's not a thing. Like Ben Roethlisberger's just dumpster. He just literally had the worst performance in my analytics history just now, and it's pretty funny. I still have a graph that I'll show you guys after the podcast, but like it just be that guy. Like, just because your record can lie to you too, because again, the Seahawks won 12 games last year, and clearly the Rams were the better team, even though they won less games. That's what I'm saying. Like the record can lie to you based on who you play. So your record isn't indicative of who you actually are. I just need you to be like in the conversation, please, Seahawks.
All right. Well, I do want to give some kudos before we move on to the NFC West. Tyler Lockett has set a new career high for his receiving yards with 1,076, single season career high. Congratulations, Tyler Lockett. Well deserved. And I think he missed a couple games too, so that's actually impressive. And it's only been actual 16 games. So congratulations to Tyler Lockett. But let's talk about the rest of the NFC West while we got about 10 minutes left here. But we're going to also lump this into a preview here because these games in the NFC West matter at the end of the season. So Seattle is going to Arizona and San Francisco is going to Los Angeles. So as it sets up right now, if Los Angeles wins, they have won the West and they are, boy, I want to say well, I think it depends on how it shakes out.
If they win, they're the 2 seed regardless.
Oh, if they win, they're the 2 seed regardless. Okay,
Green Bay locked up the number 1
Yeah,
seed.
they're the
Green
two
Bay
seed.
is 1. They locked that up against a non-Kirk Cousins
Because
Vikings.
the Rams beat the Bucks, so they're ahead of them.
And so if the Cardinals win, I believe they win the division. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they are. Yeah. They will have because they'll beat them. They'll wait.
Well,
Yeah,
it'll be a split, but I think it's based on record against division.
If that was the case, the Rams would technically already have the division locked up, and they do not. So it has to be in the way. Yeah.
The 49ers are currently sitting in the 6th seed, and they need a win to guarantee they are in, but they can also get in with a New Orleans loss. So right now they are sitting at the 6th seed. They could be overtaken by the Eagles if they were to lose, and the Saints were to lose, they'd drop down to the 7. But right now,
the Saints would drop down to they're in the 8.
What was that?
Did you say the Saints would drop to the 7?
No, the 49ers would drop to the 7 if they were to lose and the Saints were to lose.
Oh, the Eagles would have to win, but yeah.
Yeah, if the Eagles win and the Niners lose and the Saints lose, they would drop down to the 7. So basically right now, San Francisco's either 6 or 7, assuming they get in. So this is a pretty important week for just kind of pecking order in terms of playoff seeding. So let's kind of just talk about what we think of these two games and give some quick predictions here. Seattle at Arizona. Seattle has nothing to play for, so I think they're going to come out and play well in this game. I think they want to kind of end the season on a not so sour note that has been this season. That being said, Kyler is back, and he ran all over Dallas, who has a very good defense. So that does make me a little bit nervous about this game. And I did pick the Cardinals to win the division. So I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one because the Cardinals did beat the Seahawks with Colt McCoy in Seattle. So based on that fact, I am going to go Cardinals 31, Seahawks 24. And then in the other game, the Rams squeaked by the Baltimore Ravens last week. And then the Niners, was that the Thursday game? No, that was the week before. They beat the Texans this week. Sorry about that. So they are kind of limping in here with Trey Lance at quarterback. I think that the Rams will win this game strictly because Trey Lance is at quarterback. I think Aaron Donald is going to introduce himself once, twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times. We'll see how many times he gets back there. I think Leonard Floyd also has a good day. It's just too much Rams defense for a rookie quarterback. I think if Jimmy G's in there, they win the game actually. But since it's Trey Lance, I do not see that happening. And I think that the Rams will win the division because they win this game. So I'm going to go Rams. I think the defense are going to play well in this one. I think it's going to be gross to watch. I'm going to go 17-14 Rams. Sean?
I guess it was Seahawks first.
Also, can I say Cooper Kupp? If the MVP award wasn't a quarterback only award, Cooper Kupp, what a boss. If there was a he should get offensive player of the year. Yeah, he should get offensive player of the year. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
I will say kind of let me scroll down here. I lost my games. The Seahawks against Arizona. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of getting the gut feeling Seattle's going to come out and give Arizona a game. Arizona isn't that good. But the Seahawks, oh man, I just don't trust them this year. I think it'll be close. I think Seattle will make a game of it and lose it late. Arizona will have a last minute drive. 31-28, Arizona wins. And then the other ones, San Francisco. Yeah, with their injuries, I think it's the Rams to lose. I think the Rams pull it off probably by 10, 30-20.
Kevin?
Both these games are kind of interesting. One, because the Cardinals have actually been very bad at home this year. The record at home is not great. But at the same time, Pete's an idiot. He's gonna run the ball a lot. He's gonna Rashad Penny the shit out of it, and Rashad Penny's gonna get like 2 yards a carry. Pete's gonna. We know Pete's not gonna adapt. It's just like, well, he went power right, so let's go power left and see if it works, and it's not gonna work. So it's hard. Because I think Russell Wilson, given the opportunities, can take advantage of that secondary, but he has to be given the opportunities. But so I'm going to say if Pete has a stroke and somebody takes over at like head coach position and they let Russ just do his thing, then they win. But that's not going to happen. So I'm going to say Cardinals. Let's see, 26-17. No, I'm gonna say 26-14. I think we're gonna really lack on points this week. I think we're gonna try to run the ball way too much, and we're gonna get stuffed, and Pete's gonna be an idiot about it. We're just gonna get lucky on a really sexy deep ball by Russell, just because we just overrode it. So it's the rock paper scissors game. Shanahan beats McVay. And honestly, I kind of think of the opposite of Matt's opinion, because yes, you have Aaron Donald there, but you have Trey Lance who's mobile, who can run away, versus Jimmy G doesn't run away type deal. But his inexperience also comes into factor too, and Jalen Ramsey's very good. So if he avoids Jalen Ramsey, I would say it could be. I'm gonna say the upset. The Niners are on a hot streak. They've won their last 5. I'm gonna say
they lost to Tennessee.
You have it?
Yeah, they lost to
Oh
Tennessee.
yeah,
AJ
that's
Brown
right.
just
Four out of the last
them.
5. That's what. Yeah, sorry.
No,
4 out of
they
the.
lost to Seattle 3 weeks ago too.
Oh yeah.
But they've been hot the second half of the year, Kevin. You're correct.
Yeah.
They won 6 other games. So yeah. Other than those 2 losses.
So I'm gonna say it'll be close. I'm gonna say. Damn. 27-24.
Niners. All
I
right.
will say one thing. We gave analysis on the Rams game. None of that will matter, because the only deciding factor is what Matthew Stafford shows up. Because he was garbage last week and they barely won. They should have dominated the Ravens. Yeah. If Matthew Stafford shows up, Kevin's right. It's 49 for 1.
Let's do a bonus game here. We're gonna recap some preseason predictions next week, but Kevin predicted the Chargers would be in the AFC Championship game, because I went back and reviewed the tape, and I also remember him being one of the only ones to say he was gonna make the playoffs. I think Sean was the other one. I have to bring up the list, but they are in a winner in game against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football. I believe that's the case. I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore are still in it, but I don't think they have a factor in that game. So let's predict that game here. I liked Kevin's prediction in the beginning of the season, although the Chargers have just been the least inconsistent. I actually, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Kevin fell into the Charger trap, which is my friend. They have a ton of talent. But every year something just happens to the Chargers and it makes no sense. They have a ton of talent. I have no idea.
I want to say they're inconsistent, but pretty much the AFC is inconsistent. So I think that the Chargers will wait. Is this in Vegas or is this in let me look this up here.
I have it right here.
Kevin, I have a buddy who's a Charger fan, and he tells
me
it's
in Las Vegas. Oh my gosh.
He's like, every year we have all the talent, but we lose to, he's like, we lose to like freaking Houston. I don't get it. And I'm like, yeah, it's just That's
I,
the Chargers.
They're the
man,
Seahawks of the fucking
I'm
AFC.
I'm gonna give the Chargers a 3-point victory. Oh, I'm not even gonna predict the score. 3-point win.
I
3
think me and
points.
Kevin are right. I think the Chargers win and get in.
It's tough because like now they're also like the Raiders are like playing for or for Madden, type of deal because he's their coach. And
Justin Herbert is a beast.
I know. Well, yeah, but he's an inconsistent beast.
Well,
That's the
no,
only
the
thing.
team is like actually
Yeah.
the advanced numbers love Justin Herbert. Like the rest of the
He's
team,
got a fucking cannon
their
too.
defense sucks butts. Like
Yeah, they
Chargers,
do.
just do anything on defense, please. like oh my gosh, just anything. Like,
I think it's going to be a high scoring game, actually, to be honest, just because both their defenses suck anus. I could see it in the 30s on both sides. I really want to watch this game because I think it's going to be very entertaining.
Their DOVA, Kevin, is 3 and 30. You want to guess which one's what? Which side of the ball is what?
God.
Just
like offensively, oh my God, the Chargers are just stacked.
It's Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and then the Chargers. Like they're the juggernauts of the NFL. But
like that's the pick that nobody really expected, that Justin Herbert just turned into a fucking stud. Like
not this quick. Like he just showed up and was like, "Let's do the thing." We're like, "Oh God!" Like
I'm still probably gonna just because they're better coached, kind of, just because they're on a backup system with what happened to Gruden. Derek Carter Renfro lately has actually been a really good fucking combo. It just depends on what fucking Chargers team shows up. It's so.
I'm picking the Chargers by 3, but I'm not willing to put money on it. That's what I'm
gonna say. I don't think you bet any Charger game ever this year. You have no idea.
I'll say the Chargers still take it. I'll say it by 6.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, you guys can have one last take. I got one final take. So my girlfriend is not a football person, but I said before the season, pick your team. And she picked the Bengals. Of course, I'm like, you picked the Bengals. Well, boy, that was a good pick, actually. Because the Bengals just locked up their division. And Joey Burrow, like, what a second year that man is having. And also, it's very frustrating when I play Brett in the semifinals last week and T. Higgins has the monster game. But now this week, Jamar Chase on my team has the monster game. I hate fantasy football. That being said, I'm looking forward to next year. You guys have anything else you want to add to this?
Joe Burrow was good last year. His team sucked around him and his leg exploded. Like
they got better in the offseason. I mean, their safeties are very good. And
Seahawks, just use your resources properly.
Yeah. They used their receivers that they drafted instead of just babying them.
Everyone wanted them to draft a different position. They're like, no, Jamar Chase is good at football. And he's good at football. He has 1,400 yards. He's a beast.
And you have T. Higgins on the other side. He's also good.
And they have Boyd as their 3.
That's a very underrated receiving core that nobody talks about. Like that receiving core is like good.
Now, are they going to win the first playoff game since 1993?
Well, it depends.
Depends on who they play.
Depends on who they play.
We'll see. But next week, we will recap our preseason predictions and see how close we all were. Hopefully, we can get JT on because he also had some preseason predictions with us as well. And we will talk about some Seahawks offseason. It's the offseason is gonna be just a fresh wound, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. And we'll talk about hopefully some Kraken games that have occurred, and then we will.
Gosh darn baseball
and we'll
the
see
lockout.
if the lockout is over, but don't hold your breath on that one, I would say. So until next time, we will see you on Washington East to West Sports.